Okay, welcome to the show. Now, first thing we're going to talk about tonight on this show is Catalonia. Catalonia is simmering. It's brewing. We got Puigdemont. He's the ex-leader of Catalonia. It says he could return to Catalonia in an attempt to retake office. Anger in Catalonia as Spain threatens direct rule on language even. They're talking about re-electing Charles Puigdemont in Catalonia. It says Puigdemont may seek symbolic leadership role in Catalonia. And it says here Spain seeks to block Puigdemont from becoming the leader of Catalonia. Spain asks court to block Puigdemont's reappointment. So we see the problems in Catalonia aren't over. It's actually brewing because the people are resentful, very resentful of what Spain has done. And I see it personally as Spain has blocked democracy, and then at the same time they've come along and they've said that they're promoting democracy, but they've blocked the democratic process in Catalonia, as far as I'm concerned. So now Italy. We're going to switch over and we're going to talk about Italy. Italy is one of the bigger problems in the Eurozone right now, and Italy is coming up for elections. Now, the Five Star Movement is the most popular party in the elections. The Five Star Movement was founded in 2009 by comedian Beppe Grillo. It's an eclectic mix of ideologies and personalities within the Five Star Party. It has a spirit of protest against Italy's political establishment, which it sees as a corrupt and out-modeled. It sees this. They don't like the idea of participation in the euro and EU budget rules, and they've also called for tighter immigration policies. And so the way they've set up the Italian electoral system is that it makes it harder for any single party to win a majority in Parliament. This is meant to encourage coalition building, they say, but it could complicate forming a government. So I personally think that the Five Star Party is going to win with a majority. They say it's harder for any single party to win a majority, but I tell you, the people are so fed up right now. It says that any party will need more than 40% support to win enough seats to govern. So they're going to need more than 40%. So it looks like the Five Star Party is polling around 35%. But come election time, it could do a Donald Trump, and it could come across a lot higher than they think it could. Because the people are fed up. It says any new government could have repercussions throughout Europe. In other words, if the Five Star Party does get in, which they're likely to get in, could have repercussions throughout Europe, with the UK leaving the Union. Italy is poised to become the bloc's third largest economy, and its ability or inability to clean up its banks, return to growth, and put its national debt on a sustainable path will influence the health of other European economies as well. It'll also influence EU monetary and banking policy. European officials worry especially about the hostility to EU institutions that now animates much of Italian politics. The government led by the Northern League, or the Five Star Party, could lead a referendum on Italy's membership in the Eurozone. So if the Five Star Party gets in, they could actually call for a referendum, and the referendum is going to be about the membership in the Eurozone. Or they could call to renegotiate European Union's foundational treaties. This is a Eurosceptic government that could get in Italy, and it could throw a big monkey wrench into President Emmanuel Macron's ambitious plans for a deeper European integration. Well, we all know why he wants that. He's a Rothschild banker, and the European Union was set up as part of the Rothschilds' plan to rule the world, you know, and he's right in with them. So the thing is these plans are starting to have cracks in their armor that are appearing. So now let's move on and let's talk about something else again. Let's talk about Chinese banks. Now, they've been pulling a big scam in China, the banks have, for a long time. And how the scam works is like this. It's called wealth management products. And they'll pay you a good rate of interest. Everybody's looking for yield. They will pay you good yield. Wealth management products. And they set up a front. What it is you got a big bank. What the big bank will do is it'll set up a smaller bank that's a front. It's not really the big bank, but it's a smaller bank that operates independently. And then what they'll do is they'll have that smaller bank sell these wealth management products, you know, to these people, and they make it all look good, but it's really a Ponzi scheme. What they do is they take in all this money, and they use that money to pay off the first people that invest in. So they offer them like 10% per year, right? And the first people to invest in, they go ahead and pay them that 10% per year. And they tell all their buddies and all their friends, hey, you know, these wealth management products are great. And it's a subsidiary of, say, Deutsche Bank, you know, so it can't go bad, you know, or it's a subsidiary of some other big bank, but it's a subsidiary, see? And what it is it's only loosely connected to the other big bank. So if something goes wrong, they can't sue the other big bank. They have to sue the smaller bank or whatever, and they just go bankrupt. So, of course, they're selling them these wealth management products, and what it is a Ponzi scheme. And there's been quite literally billions and billions and billions and billions and billions in China invested in these wealth management products over the years. So now what they're doing is the Chinese government is cracking down on all this. And so let's read the first part. It says, that news alone can sink bank stocks. Since Guo Shuyang took over as chairman of CBRC 12 months ago, he made reining in the sale of wealth management products a huge money spinner for the banks. That's a huge money spinner for the banks, the wealth management products. He is reining in the sale of these wealth management products. And it's become a priority. It says, financial institutions fell in line quickly, as evidenced by the decline in investment receivables. So in other words, the banks are not making as much much money now, is because they're not allowed to sell these wealth management products anymore, which is a scheme by the banks, you know. So they've switched over, and now they're doing something else. It says, in just 6 months, China's CITIC Bank Corporation pulled its investment receivables by almost half to 585 billion yuan, US 92 billion as of September 30th. That figure must be even smaller now after Beijing fired another warning shot in November. It's a similar picture at the other mid-sized lenders such as China Everbright Bank Company and China Minsheng Banking Corporation. But banks have to make some money somehow. Replacing the wealth management products has been an explosion in consumer loans. So see, what they're doing is, because they're cutting back on these wealth management products now, what they're doing is they're loaning money to anybody. And if you know how fractional reserve banking works, making all of these consumer loans, it says from mortgages to automobiles to cash advances, so they're just giving people cash as loan. The financial institutions in China lent 6.2 trillion yuan to households last year. That's up 30% from 2016. So in other words, what they're doing right now is they're loading the Chinese citizenry with debt. They're doing exactly the same thing that the Americans have already done. The Americans were already all loaded with debt over here. You know, they're loading up the Chinese now with debt. It says, should the CBRC turn its blowtorch on that revenue stream as well, bank earnings will take a hit. To be sure, the biggest will just get by just get by just fine. They can always rely on their strong deposit franchises for deep funding and continue lending to low-risk, state-owned enterprises. It's more difficult for mid-sized banks, which rely on the interbank market for funding. And so what's happening is a lot of these mid-sized banks now are actually starting to get in trouble in China. But now China's moving forward. When one scheme starts to break down on them, like the wealth management products, they move forward to the next scheme. The latest scheme that the Chinese have going right now is their One Belt, One Road initiative, where they're going to be lending out trillions of dollars to build highways to nowhere. But they are planning on creating trade with this. So it's better than the ghost cities. The ghost cities, I mean, they just built cities off in the middle of nowhere. Quite literally, they got these high-rise skyscrapers, and they've been built in farmers' fields, and they don't even have asphalt for people to park underneath them, and they're all empty. And they've sold all the houses in these skyscrapers, and they don't even have electricity. It's not even hooked up to the power grid. But all the apartments, lovely apartments inside them, all finished with the latest, like tile and nicest bathrooms and everything else. But there's no lights on in them. Nobody living in them. Floor after floor after floor. Like you can go to a floor of the apartment and there's like 12 apartments there. And you open up the door and it's like it creaks open. It's like a ghost town. There's nobody in there and it's dark inside there. You'd have to use a flashlight if you're not near the window. Like if you open up the bathroom or whatever, you have to use a flashlight. And there might be already things like cobwebs, because nobody's using it. Nobody's living in it. But it's an investment by the Chinese citizen, and that investment might be their whole life savings invested in that. And the prices have only been going up because more and more people are looking for these investments, and they're driving the price of this real estate up higher and higher, even though nobody's living in it. Now, can you imagine how that's going to crash when it finally comes down and crashes? Because there's like dozens of these empty apartments everywhere. It's just like high-rise building after high-rise building full of empty apartments and nobody living in them. What's the market for them? What are they actually worth? They're not worth what they say they're worth right now because the price has been driven up by all of these investors coming in. It's almost like a Ponzi bubble. It's ridiculous, really. So let's take a quick look at Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank has not shined as well this year. Deutsche Bank has to announce a loss of 500 million euros in the past financial year. Deutsche Bank is slowly sinking. It's sinking so slowly, though, that it's not really in the news. This John Kyan, who is the he is doing everything he can to keep Deutsche Bank afloat. And he's been somewhat successful. He's sold shares in Deutsche Bank and to raise money, raise capital, to raise their Tier 1 capital, and they're slowly sinking and they're slowly losing money anyway. It seems like Deutsche Bank is eventually going to go down. But if they do go down, they got such a big derivatives book that they'll carry the whole system down with them. There's going to come a point where the central banks of the earth are going to have to print such an enormous amounts of money that they're going to sink the paper currencies. And this is coming very soon. This is not coming 5 years from now. This is coming within the immediate future. So let's take a look at Deutsche Bank stock right now. Deutsche Bank, and now about a week ago, it was down to 12.51. That was its low point on Friday, the 9th of February. Now, this is the 22nd of February, and it's back up to 13.45. Now, we're talking euros here. 12.51 on Friday, the 9th of February, and now it's back up to 13.45. So it's not up very much. And it was up to 13.58 on February 21st. Now, on the 22nd, today, it's down to 13.45. And it looks like it's starting to head back down again, starting to sink again. Sooner or later, it's going to completely sink. And this is going to be a meltdown of the world's financial system. This is what's coming, So anyway, thank you guys for listening. This has been an update on the banking situations and the situations that's going on over in some of these countries like Europe and Catalonia and Spain and Italy. Well, actually, Spain's banking system is actually doing pretty good right now, sort of good, comparatively speaking. So thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye.